Welcome back to This is VANCOLOUR. According to a recent BMO survey, 2/3 of Canadians believe saving for retirement is harder than it was for their parents, especially as the cost of living continues to rise. Is the traditional life path broken for younger people in BC, the least affordable province in the country? Will millennials work until they're dead? Here to break it down is a lifelong entrepreneur, financial columnist, and partner of Foundation Wealth, Mark Ting. Mark, hello. So nice to see you.
Yeah, great to be here.
So if you're in your 20s or 30s right now as a British Columbian and you're hoping to retire, let's say by age 65, what would that take? What kind of numbers are we talking about?
Dollar cents?
Sure.
Based on today's, we're talking about millions. Let's be honest.
Millions.
But
Okay.
you got to think about these are future dollars.
Yeah.
And the thing that 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds have is time. That's the biggest commodity, and it helps for everything. So if I just think about it, if you set aside $5 a day and you started when you're 20, so that's like $1,800 a year.
Yeah.
By the time you're 65, that'd be around $1.3 million.
Oh, when you put it like that.
Again, future dollars. What is that $1.3 million going to buy? It's going to be a lot less than today. But if you think about it, even from 20 years old to 30, and you did the same thing, it'd probably be half that. You'd probably have $650,000.
So the issue that I run into and other people who are millennials, especially in the city of Vancouver, run into is with the cost of housing and the cost of living, and it seems to keep escalating. Can 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds realistically be expected to save that much? I mean, it sounds easy, $5 a day, but over a month, that adds up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what do you want? Like, that's a trade-off. Do you want your Starbucks or you want to save for your retirement? And everybody hates it when you say that because we need these little joys in our life. Millennials, I think, have a harder time because they're now, what is millennials? 30 to 45, something like that?
Yeah.
So they're in that stage where they have less time. And as I mentioned before, just that 10 years makes a massive difference in terms of savings. But what I say to millennials is, what if prices come down? Everyone's like, looks at me kind of weird. It's like, but there's that chance. There's actually a much better chance now that we're going to see prices coming down.
Really?
Yeah.
On
Because
what?
Technology. Think about technology.
Okay.
When I grew up, a long distance call cost $1 a minute. What's it cost now? Free.
Yeah.
Cable TVs. Regular TVs cost thousands of dollars. My first plasma was several $1,000s. Now you can get them for like $150. And technology is accelerating. So they're talking about a stage where actually we're going to see deflation rather than inflation. And a stage where—
Is that happening soon?
I think so. Yeah. No, like we joke about it, but like really millennials right now, the traditional way to make money is like you go to school, you graduate, and then you get a job and you work, you get a pension and go on. I think the system, the economy is going to change dramatically over the next couple of years where entrepreneurs are going to take over.
Interesting.
And that's because the barrier to entry is so much lower. Starting websites, basically free. Internet's basically free. Services like legal and everything else, everything that kept us outside where we had to join a big corporation and we had to work for the man, like that's often won't necessarily be the case. So all those sort of gatekeeper type things are going to sort of dissipate with technology. And a lot of people can look around the world and they'll see problems. The world is full of problems. The bigger the problems there are, if you start solving those, which a lot of people have good ideas to do that, the more you're going to get paid. So bigger the problems, more you get paid, but there's still lots of little problems out there. And I just think that people are millennials, younger, they're going to start drifting into that economy and they're going to take ownership of their life.
This is fascinating. Now, in defense of millennials, my generation, I feel like we've been through a lot, 2008 financial crisis, COVID pandemic, everything that's happening in the world right now. Why does modern adulthood feel so financially unstable? I mean, that's kind of the narrative, right? That it's very precarious and times are very tight. So why does it feel that way?
I mean, part of it is spending, and we think dollar amounts, like when I say, you're going to need millions of dollars, and that's very defeatist, right? Like, I'm never going to have that.
Yeah.
But the answer is it happens over time, and then at the end, it happens very quickly. Like those people who made starting dollar at $2,000 a day to $1.3 million. Like most of that growth happens in the last couple of years. That's where compounding really works.
Right.
So for millennials, they just have to look at not those dollar amounts. Like I hate those stats where they say like the house back in the 80s was this, like $2,000 or $80,000, maybe $100,000. And now it's $2 million. But you have to look at, it's not just the price. Those houses back then were very simple. And our expectations, our needs, our wants right now of their current house is obviously much higher. Back then, stainless steel appliances, granite countertops, air conditioning, all those things were not involved. So
you're buying more stuff is what you're saying.
Or we expect more stuff. So of course the cost is going to be there. Like if I look at my kids who are in their 20s, they spend a lot more on conveniences than I do. Like my daughter goes to Langara, but she also works. And I asked her, how are you going to get to work the next day? And she says, I'm going to take an Uber. I would never do that. Like she has a free bus pass and she could go that way, but those are her choices to do. And of course she's working. She can get along with that, but you could say, okay, take that Uber, or you could invest that $5 a day and keep that as a habit and continue on with that. Me being who I am, that's generally the choice I would make. But it's all trade-offs.
Why are you so optimistic? I feel like the overall narrative is doom and gloom and the sky is falling, and you seem to be a ray of sunshine for this generation that seems to be complaining about this.
Yeah, I mean, part of it's that narrative out there. Like people think about AI and technology and they think Terminator as opposed to Star Trek. I'm more of a Star Trek person. I would give up everything I own, my house, my investments, to roll back and start back in my 20s because I'm an entrepreneurial type of a person. And I think those types of people are going to succeed in this new economy. The world is going to be very different in 5 years. There's so many positives that people don't talk about. Things that kill humans right now, cancers, heart attacks, like those are going to be gone in a couple of years. There's being such leaps and bounds. But, humanity, social media always focuses on the negative stuff and they sort of dismiss all the positive stuff. I'm looking at both. And I'm not saying that Terminator can't happen. I think there is a percentage chance that can't happen. But I think there's a bigger chance that the Star Trek type thing will happen, where we're going to see disparities come down, affordability come down, climate change actually having a chance of being beaten. Like 2 years ago, I would have said there's no chance. Like I looked at our politicians across the board. I thought, these are our leaders are trying to tackle these major problems. And I wasn't at all positive about that. But now I think that everyday people are going to be able to use these tools and tackle these problems. And I think they're going to monetize it.
Well, Mark, you've given me new perspective and new optimism. Thanks so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Folks, that was Mark Ting, partner and portfolio manager at Foundation Wealth. Now, after some business, Fiona Forbes fires up the time machine as we wonder, did Vancouver peak at Expo 86? That's up next.